situation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Thank you very much.
I didn't want to bring this up to the Willits meeting because I don't want my constituents to realize how confused we are down here.
Self-preservation, John.
Hey, Johnny, you're on TV.
And you were on the microphone.
Oh,
Okay.
my mouth always gets me in trouble.
Okay, let's see. To the CEO's office, legislative fiscal report. Is there any?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. And any further CEO report?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Although I could give you an update, just a couple fire challenges. I'm trying to deal with that as we're working today. We do have the call center up and operational. We are getting a high volume of calls on there. We've issued the number to the media for people to call. We're getting a high volume of calls, and we're now trying to work out staffing levels that how are we going to be able to keep it staffed with the volume of calls that we're getting. We're working with CDF PIOs, but it looks like people are outreaching to us and we're being successful. The phone lines are in place. It's just a staffing issue at this point, and County Council and I are talking about the requirements. All county workers are technically emergency services workers once we declare this emergency, and we're working on the mechanics of how we will staff the center along with CDF during the duration of this emergency.
Thank you. We do have 3 items that we pulled for separate consideration yet, and we do have a calendar, commission's appointment calendar, and supervisor's reports. Oh, and an off-agenda item. Let's take the off-agenda item, and which is, I do not have it in front of me, I guess. This is a Supervisor Delbar.
Mr. Chairman, I had an opportunity to discuss an issue that's come up this last week with our representative in Sacramento, Don Peterson, at lunch today. The special distribution fund in which, or to which, many tribes, Indian tribes, pay casino revenues into, including the Shokawa Casino in Hopland. The money's in Sacramento, but the appropriation has not occurred, and that fund, through our Indian Gaming Distribution Committee, on which I sit and Supervisor Colfax sits, disperses those revenues per the requirements and restrictions there in the legislation. We have last year made a multi-year commitment to Redwood Valley Calpella Fire Department for new radios and pagers. It was a 3-year commitment, and we made the initial allocation last year, and the agreement was that they would not apply for their tier of for which they're eligible for the next 2 years. Since Sacramento has yet to fund that or allocate those dollars, appropriate those dollars, we have at least one fire department here locally that is scrambling to meet their 2-year commitment to the Motorola radio company, as well as the others that have been funded through this include our Sheriff's Department and Hopland Fire, and who else have we? Many others that we've made actual annual allocations to. Mr. Peterson is recommending that today we send a letter to Representatives Berg and Wiggins asking them to put I believe it's a trailer bill on the budget bill that's in the conference committee now to fund the special distribution fund. The monies are there. They're just need to be allocated and appropriated, and Mr. Kaler's here. He did talk to Mr. Peterson today as well, and he can add anything that I may have missed, but the request is today, given that we're not meeting again and that the budget bill is in conference, that we get a letter sent off. So assuming the board takes this item off agenda, the item would actually be directing staff to work with Mr. Peterson, draft a letter for the chair's signature.
Okay, before I go to Mr. Kaler and get into the nuts and bolts of the discussion, I need a motion to take this as an off-agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion to bringing this up as an off-agenda item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Now let's get to the nuts and bolts. Mr. Kaler.
Supervisors Delbar's comments were right on. I did talk to Don this afternoon after Mike came in and chatted with me about this issue. He's encouraging a letter to go to Senator Wiggins and Assemblyman Berg, arguing for an appropriation in the state budget. State budget's currently in conference committee. The exact verbiage of the letter we'll work out with Don, but he's recommending that we let Senator Wiggins and Assemblyman Berg know that our lobbyists will be in contact with him. Exactly how it will happen in terms of a trailer bill or it will be inserted into a bill that's already in progress is yet to be determined. But this is something that's going to be cooking along in the next 3 weeks when the board is on recess. So I think it's really appropriate that you would authorize to have the letter sent. Whether it would go out under the chief executive officer's signature or chairman's signature, we can work with either one.
And I think this is a fiscal impact to the county and other agencies of $200,000 to $300,000, so it's not chump change. So, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions, I'd move that we direct staff to work with Mr. Peterson's office and send a letter to our representatives, Wiggins and Berg, for the chair's signature.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second by Supervisor Colfax. Supervisor Pinches?
Is this an issue of, it's kind of like the Prop 1B funding where the state is holding back the cash so to keep them a cash flow going? Is that, I mean, you say that the money is sitting in Sacramento, is it, or is it, you know, because if they appropriate it, it's all out of their
Well,
funds, so.
I'll do the best I can to try to explain, because I'm not sure I understood what's exactly happening, but the tribes continue to pay into the fund. There was an audit report that raised some questions that haven't been addressed or have been addressed to a degree. And there's some political battles going on, and it also involves some Southern California issues. So for myriad reasons, the allocation hasn't occurred. The money's there, it goes into the fund, then there has to be appropriated back out to the counties. And that's that appropriation step that hasn't occurred.
Because right now, the state is projected to run out of cash on August 10th. So any of these special accounts that they can hold, that keeps them, that gives them a positive cash flow.
I'm sure it has something to do with it.
And one casino not paying in. Okay, so, Mr. CEO, do you have comment on this? Okay, I see your pen up, so I'm sorry, I keep
Oh,
asking.
sorry. Trying to deal with a fire emergency right now.
Okay, so what's the action on this item?
You gotta call the vote.
Just directing
Oh,
the
I'm
right-
sorry.
Just directing the right
It is getting late. There was a motion and a second, my mistake. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's get to the 3 consent items. I'll just take them up in order. Item 7